Welcome to the political segment of the weekend show. Just like last week, we are reporting to you live from our houses. It's a virtual episode because we respect social distancing and the need to stay safe. In the last couple of weeks, several countries and governments have started relaxing lockdown laws in their countries. Nigeria is one of those countries, and this is because most countries are trying to avoid a total economic shutdown. As we discussed today, I have with me in the studio, in the virtual studio, Remi Dairo. He is the president of the Institute of Productivity and Business Innovation Management. Welcome to the Weekend Show, sir.
Thank you very much, Andy. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So, in the last couple of weeks, we have seen that several countries are already or maybe going into recession as a result of the COVID pandemic. However, it has also been reported that several countries in different phases may do better than the others. And some of the countries highlighted were Ethiopia, Rwanda, and Morocco that have constantly been growing in the last 2 decades. Other countries highlighted have also been countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, where they have seen an increase in their GDP and constant rise. However, this is Nigeria, this is Africa. What is your take on how Africa can survive in this COVID era? Because it's not over. How do you think we can survive as a continent in this current COVID pandemic?
Thank you very much. And your question is very broad. And then how can take a whole day, how can take a whole week, how can take a whole month. We can keep talking about it, how. But I think Africa should have left the how to the manifestation or to the operation of the little house that we used to know. Number one, how is diversification, which we knew or we have talked about over the years. Oil, natural resources cannot be the only way out for revenue for Africa, little Nigeria. Now there's oil crash. The world has gone, in a different direction now. Many developed countries are working on cars that will use electricity, some technology that will just use a little bit of gas, and then more of solar. Some are working on a purely solar cars, rechargeable cars. I mean, so Africa is still holding on to, we have oil, as well as Nigeria, there's oil in here, we have our crude oil. Because now the reality is done on us. Some of the African countries have gold, diamond, and they are so relaxed because they know that the corporate, the first world will always come for them. But some of them have sold their birthright. It's no more their own. I don't want to even go there today. So I would rather say that Africa should diversify and look beyond the natural resources to what we can, bring about. Number one, agriculture is there, and we have arable land in Africa. 75% of the land that we have in Africa can accommodate agriculture for edible food, for exportation. That is huge. And I don't want to give you a bad news about a Chinese man who has taken over a particular land in Africa, and it's called Chinese farm in Africa, the biggest so far. Because they don't have that land in China. So Africans have also given out their property, because of the muscle of bread. I don't know. So what am I trying to say? Africa must rethink. Africa must think within. Africa must think without, and think beyond the oil and gas and natural resources. Now, Africa must also look in the human capital. Human beings are the most powerful resources Africa must invest in. There are many doctors who have exodus out of Africa, many nurses, many teachers, many broadcasters, many professionals have left the shores of Africa without any record from Africa. It's okay, America, you have so number of doctors. Can you pay us for giving you these resources? Okay, yes. Canada, you have so number of Nigerian or African nurses that have that with you, can you pay us this per person? No. Why? Because there's no data. There's no even recognition for the human capital. So the human capital is not recognized. So anybody that carries their bag, carries a bag, they are their own. It's like, we don't care. If you want to go anywhere, go. So the people now take their life by by themselves, by fending for themselves, and then finding a way to go for a greener pasture. So these are resources around Africa that Africa is not even touching at all. Now let us go into tourism. Now there are times in London, in US, that is cold. They will look, and that's the better time for us. They will look for a place, a climate that is more relaxed, a climate that is that they can have a more heat, or a kind of a comfortable weather. We can create events around those times. We can bring in whites. We can bring in international body to come and visit this country. What are you doing with Oluwa Rock? What are you doing with Agogo Fish Festival? What are you doing with all our mountains and rocks in Jos? They are just there. We are just like a sticker in Africa. We don't care. I don't know how much. What are we doing about our color? What are we doing about the beauty in black? So Africa has forgotten about the heritage. They have totally gone into the into the foreign world and have swallowed, and they're even begging the white men to come and take them over. That is bad. Why? Because we don't cherish what we have. So recession is eating us very hard. Why? Because we didn't pay for it, and because we don't know what we have. Neither do we appreciate what we have for a long time. So it's there, and we know all this I'm talking about, but I'm not take action towards that.
Okay, thank you for that answer. We did have some technical difficulties during that, but I was able to hear you loud and clear. Now, coming back to Nigeria, the president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, before the pandemic, had already locked our land borders. They had also stopped importation of rice to encourage local farming and agriculture. But when we talk about diversification, there's always the conversation about agriculture. Let's talk about innovation and education. You can't innovate without laying a foundation for that innovation. Most Nigerians, you know the number of the rate of unemployment. You know the number of children out of school. How can we improve our education sector to ensure that we are ready for a post-COVID Nigeria?
So education is add in that sector too, and I understand education is not just 1 + 1 is 2. It's not A, B, C, D. Neither is this student and teachers alone or classroom. So sometimes they say we have built also a number of classrooms, so we are improving education. Oh, we have numbers of teachers teaching in our schools. Oh, we are building education. Oh, we have this number of students studying. Oh, we are building education. Oh, we have people who start for JAM, who start for GCE, or start for WAEC, as the case may be. Oh, we are building. No, education is 360. In 21st century COVID-19, post-COVID-19, data, DATA, or internet education is key. So if the government cannot provide data for schools to be able to, interact with their teachers, to be able to Bing or Google or find information around the world, to be able to use the internet, to be able to use the sites and browse and check what's going on, education is not complete. Our curriculum has been old curriculum, which work, after work, go and get job. Where are the jobs? And this kind of education system came when the Igbos were living in the 70s. We say, okay, let's get more of our people educated so they can take Oyinbo's job. But now Oyinbo's job has been taken over. It's black everywhere. So the question now is, until you kill somebody or you drag somebody out of their seat, they will not leave. In fact, those who are supposed to retire, they are not retiring anymore. They sit down put, for me by grammar. They sit down put because there's no, after retirement, there's nothing for them again. So education should be number one, a 21st century education. Internet data. So education should be revamped, should be looked into. Our curriculum must be changed. Then our teachers, how many teachers are IT savvy? How many teachers know how to use Zoom? How many teachers know how to use Google Classroom? How many teachers know how to use Microsoft Teams? How many teachers know how to use some of this latest, online classroom that they can explore? How many teachers? So our teachers also need to be taught. They need to go back to classroom again and again to learn the new model of education globally. If not, we'll be producing children or pupils or students who will be locally immature, not ready for global opportunities, and they will not have competitive advantage in the world. So I will need to revamp it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk healthcare. Now, we have seen, and I know you must have seen this, since the pandemic started, we've seen a lot of young Nigerians come up with their own types of ventilators, where they're saying, hey, we just developed this in this university, in this state, this type of ventilator was invented. We've also seen the private sector come together with government to provide facilities. Just this week, I saw what they've done with the This Day Dome in Abuja in partnership with the likes of Sahara Group, This Day, among several others. And so most of the times we always wait for government for these interventions. But now that the chips are down and the borders are closed, we've seen that, and travel is restricted, we've seen that private sector has been able to come together with government to provide solutions. So let's talk about healthcare and the constant reliance on government to provide solutions for us. Whereas in countries where we look up to, it's the individuals, so the private sector that has helped to build and grow the economy. So let's talk about healthcare, innovation in the healthcare sector during this pandemic and how we can sustain it after this is over.
All right, for health sector is also broad, and there are different layers or different levels of health challenges and health program that the government has. There's a primary health care for rural people at the grassroots that should be able to take care of malaria, smallpox, chickenpox, and all those polio and all that level that we have percent for giving delivery of children and all that. But yet there are big problems in going there, that those primary health care does not even have the equipment or the medical equipment or the tools to really perform at the level. Anyway, let's leave that as it is. Now, the health care of the future, we are not ready for it. The health care of the system is of the future is no more appearing in the hospital. We need to now begin to add technology to our healthcare delivery, whereby somebody can be at home and can talk or chat up with his doctor on an app, and the doctor can say, okay, what's doing you right now? Check its AB, and then they will send the result of that to a pharmacy, and the pharmacy now will recommend the drug, and then the drug is delivered to the house of that person. That is the healthcare of the future. You don't need to leave your house. You don't even need to push anything. In as much as you have data, you have phone, you can make all this happen in one app. That's the future. So building one big hospital, see what they are built. Sometimes it is still of the old. Of course, we need to build hospitals for those who cannot do all this. But I tell you, Nigeria must prepare. Africa must prepare for the future. I don't talk about the past or the 120 years ago. No, I talk about the future. So is the nation prepared for the future? The future is also the doctor in your home. So sometimes you also need to get to a level where there's a programming that there's something in your home. When everybody is sick, you just go there and report how it's doing you, like grandma, or the way you are feeling to that app in your home, installed in your home. And then a doctor is attending to you. And then drug is sent to you.
Remi, Remi, I'm going to interrupt you.
Medication.
Sorry, let me interrupt you on that. Nigeria has a high poverty rate. And we've heard about that time and time again. Secondly, our internet penetration, if our population is about 200 million, it always goes between 90 million to 110 million. There is still about 50% of Nigerians who either don't have access to these brilliant and beautiful apps you speak of, and two, even if they do, what would you say about people who haven't eaten, carrying their money to go and buy data to use all these apps?
I agree with you, but you know what? I come from the angle of a vision. Why those things are not available? There is no vision in that line now. There's poverty because there's no vision to bring people out of poverty. There's no technology vision. How can you now provide data? It's not necessary now. What is not needful will not be provided for. Andy, see, until our government can set a new agenda, poverty will not leave this land. We will remain the same way we are. Can't you see when some senators were fighting on the floor of the house, saying that Almanjiri was part of the culture of the North? They were fighting it hard. I saw it on TV. They were saying, no, you can't change our culture. Our culture is Almanjiri. That's the kind of culture that we have. What do? We keep quiet. So that culture will never produce anything out of, that kind of a culture. But now when COVID-19 came, see the way they are pushing Almanjiri all over the places. And some say were rejecting it. What you said was your culture. So you see, anytime we see in Nigeria, we are still poor, poverty, and how many people can afford data, we will remain the same way we are. We have been saying this since 20 years ago, 30 years ago. See, Andy, if you must change, our vision must change. Some of us don't talk about the past, we keep painting the picture of the future. Until the government can get a picture of a future, they cannot rectify now for a future that we are expecting. Forget about all those things. We are poverty level. Why will poverty level rise? It will continue to rise because we celebrate it. Oh, Nigeria is poor. Oh, we need more grant. Even in fact, our government is begging, Western world, give us money, give us a debt, write our debt off now. We know we are poor. We will remain poor like that. Anytime you begin to ask for favor, you lose something. Hey, we are begging IMF. They should please. Oh, we are begging Bill Gates. Oh, we are begging this. Come and help us. Now they are bringing vaccine and we are all making noise. Wasn't that the same Bill Gates you are begging that was bringing a vaccine for polio that you are praising him? Now they are bringing vaccination for COVID. Hey, don't inject us. Don't inject us. But you have begged before. See, until Africa stop begging and we start a new vision of paying, we will not change this nation. We will not change this continent. That's my point. I see those things there. But you see, absence of problem will never bring about development. Problem brings about vision. Problem brings about a new perspective. Problem brings about what do we need to do, what future. Not that who are we? We are very poor. People in the village. Do you know my grandmother used WhatsApp? Do you know my parents in the village, they send message to me through phone? So if you are still talking about the old ways of doing things, we will never live the way we are. So I refuse to say Nigeria is poor. Oh, we are a poor country. Let's just look, let's have this. No. Let's have a clear vision. Leadership vision will change a lot of things. And that will bring development as well. Dayo, I can see you. Welcome to the show. I can see you, Dayo. Dayo is here already. Hi, Dayo Israel.
Thank you, John. So, Remi, thank you for how passionate you are about Nigeria and what we should and we can do. But in Nigeria, everybody always knows what to tell the government to do, what the people to do. But it's about getting your hands dirty. And so this is directed at you specifically as the president of an institute. What is your institute, which is very crucial when it comes to productivity, business innovation, and management? What is your institute doing to get Nigeria out of the situation we are and to take us forward?
All right, thank you. Our Institute of Productivity and Business Innovation Management registered in Nigeria here, and our focus is to help to increase the productivity of Nigerians through innovative and creative dimension of the 21st century. So one of the things I will do is I will collaborate with global body to bring about new knowledge. Last week we had what is called Global Productivity Discourse, where we bring all experts in the world. It was a Zoom meeting, a webinar, where it was free for Nigerians to attend, and we did. And it was, a lot of feedback came from that. Number two, we also have what is called Innovation Meetup, where we discuss innovation and innovative ideas of the 21st century, how people who have ideas, who have creative ideas, who have something new to offer. Let me tell you something. I deal with Nigerians of the future. Our institute is concerned about, our mantra is do differently, do much more, and do global. These are the people that we are looking for in Nigeria. We are focusing on people who are thinking differently, who are thinking in a different way. That's what our institute is meant for. We are thinking of people who are thinking they want to do much more. Let me help you understand. Our culture has also locked us down. One of our culture is when you sweat, that is productivity. Oh boy, you don't work. Or see the way you are sweating. You don't need to sweat to be productive anymore. In the 21st century, you might not need to even, sweat to make $1 billion. And you say, oh, that's 419. No, you don't need to do that. All you need to know is to have the right market, right network, global network, and then have the right tools and position yourself. It might not be one day, but I tell you, you don't need to sweat. Now, another thing is, I must be at work to be working. Now, COVID-19 has also shown to us that you don't need to be at work to work. You don't need to be at workplace to work. We're having this, this meeting. I'm not in your studio right now, but you see, we are making this happen. So this is productivity. Productivity of the 21st century is no more the hard work. It's no more the physical assertion. It is more of smart work, brain, and solving problems. So we have been doing that on the back end, and I'm also asking Nigerians who are innovative, who are productive mindset, who are thinking differently, who are thinking to do much more, and thinking global. That IPB, Institute of Productivity and Innovation Management, is the place to be, and we are helping our members in a different dimension. So we are also coming up with a basic certification on innovation and productivity practitioner, certification, which we do, time to time. So a lot of programs that we do, we've helped many Nigerians who are already applying those things. So we are doing our part. We wish the government can partner with us to do bigger and bigger things. But we are not relenting. We are still doing our own stuff. Thank you, Andy.
Remi, thank you very much for your contribution to the political segment and for your, like I say, your passion in Nigeria. We hope more people will be interested in Nigeria, but like I say, it's about rolling up your sleeves and getting dirty to actually do the work as opposed to just telling us this is what to do. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we hope to catch up with you very soon. Thank you very much, Remi.
The novel coronavirus has changed our world as we know it. Global economies have been shut down. Government has had to rethink its policies. Being outdoor has become a luxury. Face-to-face interactions have become hazardous to one's health. But the Osasu Show has remained constant, bringing you information to make sense of it all.
We are also calling for private individuals to come and assist the state.
Every country is responsible for the health of our people.
Tune in every Friday, 9 a.m. on AIT to stay informed.
Welcome to the political segment of the weekend show. Like we said, we are still shooting from home as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's my pleasure to welcome to this segment Dayo Israel of British Council Global Changemaker. Welcome to the weekend show, Dayo.
Thank you so much for having me. Let me clarify. I am a British Council Global Changemaker, not off there. Anyway, perhaps they mean the same thing.
That's fine. So, Dayo, let's get straight into it. We've spoken to a couple of people on this same issue, and they've spoken about, we constantly hear the word vision and leadership. And we're talking about Africa in the COVID-19 era, and matters arising for emerging generation. What do you think is the role of leadership in taking Nigeria and Africa out of this pandemic in a sustainable fashion?
First, I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. So it's important we get everything clear that the level of the strength of your leadership and the weakness of your leadership will be exposed by their reaction and their response to COVID-19. Even the strongest of nations have had to fall at the feet of the pandemic caused by coronavirus, the novel coronavirus disease. Now, what is important and instructive to understand is that whatever the circumstances that you find yourself, there would always be storm, there will be hurricane, there will be challenges every day all over the world. In Haiti and in many other nations, they face their own level of challenge. What is different in how leadership at those various nations handle those challenges? It's the same thing for individuals and the same thing for families. When you don't have the right kind of response in leadership at national level, subnational level, and the local level, it reflects in the resilience and the survival mechanism or impact that the people face. So everything rises and falls on leadership. If leadership is not projected, let me give you an example. I'm from Lagos, and I'm very proud of my governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. During the election, a lot of people were of the opinion that, oh, what is he bringing? We don't know him. But he has shown leadership in this pandemic and in this crisis. And you can tell the stuff that is made of, the quality of his capacity has been expressed in the period of this pandemic. So what citizens are going to enjoy in their various communities and societies is going to be determined by the quality of leadership that they embrace.
Thank you very much, Dayo. Now, speaking for the larger demographic, which is the younger people, the youths, we are constantly waiting for government intervention, for leadership to play its role. But as young people, what is the role of young people who are really the emerging generation? We are no longer the leaders of tomorrow. We are the leaders of today. We're leading in entertainment, in technology, in music, in acting, and the likes. What should young people be doing today to ensure that while this is happening and when it ends, they can sustain the economy? Because the older generation will leave at some point. What should young people be doing at this point in time when it comes to innovation, when it comes to developing their nation?
The reality is that the young people are largely in this season able to express the stuff that they're made of. This is an opportunity for the younger and the emerging generation to be aware that they must take advantage of this season and this period to invest in themselves. It is not a period and season for frivolities. It is a period and season for self-reflection. It is a period and season for recalibration. It is a period and season to set themselves apart for leadership. The reality is, I'm a Christian, so I like to refer to the scripture a lot. The scripture says, now is the time for the saints of the Most High to possess the kingdom. In other words, it is time for young people to possess their generational leadership, to step into their place, to express their talent, to innovate, to solve problems. There's so many problems going on all over the world at this season. People are in distress, people are in disarray. It is the quality of solution that you present to the world in this season that would determine the level of your excellence and your success. It is not the time to sleep extra. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sorry.
It is time for you to invest in yourself. It is time for you to learn new things. It is time for you to expose yourself. It is time for you to sacrifice. It is time for you to read new books. It is time for you to innovate. Either you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you have to find solution. You have to bring new ideas. You have to look at how can things be done differently. You also, if you work in an organization, this is time for you to prove that you're not too young to solve problems and propose ideas to your principal, to your superiors, that can help the organization retain profit, still stay afloat in this period. You have the responsibility to show leadership. And leadership is not about age, and it's not about position. It's about the ability to solve problems and become relevant in the scope of things.
Thank you, Dayo. I have one last question for you. Traditional and religious leaders play a major role in shaping perception and actions of people in every country, especially in Nigeria. We see the influence of religious leaders and traditional leaders when it comes to elections. What leadership role, how should they use their influence in this era? I'll give a good example. Just this week, we saw the Catholic Church donate about 400 of its hospitals as isolation centers to the government as its way of supporting and helping us get through this pandemic. What role do you think traditional leaders and religious leaders have to play in ensuring that the emerging generation and Nigeria as a whole can be sustainable during and post-COVID?
We cannot underplay the role of faith organization and faith leaders and religious bodies. One thing that is important to understand is that the people at the helms of our spiritual affairs who inspire us, they remain thought leaders, opinion shapers, and it is they who many times guide the reaction of the citizens or the larger populace. And so, first, they have a responsibility to be ambassadors of good morals and behaviors. Religious leaders must be at the forefront of encouraging citizens, in particular young people, to live uprightly, to act uprightly, to abide by guidance that are put in place to make sure that we also survive coronavirus. Things like washing your hand daily, wearing a nose mask, and wearing hand gloves, and all of those attitudes that we need to follow or live by to be able to overcome coronavirus. That is the first thing that religious leaders have a role to play. Number two is that the religious leaders also, as leaders of faith-based institutions, are light in darkness. Isaiah said in Isaiah 61, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me." In other words, religious leaders are anointed for a purpose: to preach deliverance to the captive, to set free. In other words, in this season, they are set free to bring hope, message of hope, message of restoration. They're meant to support. They're meant to be salt and light in the world. They're meant to be people that young people look up to, be able to encourage them to live right, in particular, to be able to help our young people to live with hope, because there is so much fear in our society at the moment. There is so much despair in our society at the moment. And this is not about one country, it is about the globe. So it is important that young people, in particular, are able to receive message of hope and inspiration from leaders of faith across the globe.
Thank you very much, Dayo. It's been a pleasure having you on this segment. And just to reiterate what we've heard today, leadership has a major role to play. Traditional rulers and religious leaders do have a role to play. Also, young people, we can't always sit down and expect things to be done for us. It's time for every single Nigerian to take ownership of the situation and see how we can scale through together, not by attacking one side or the other, but we all need to collectively come together. Once again, Dayo, thank you very, very much for your contribution and your passion in trying to be a change maker and to push the nation forward. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And that's all for the political segment on this week's episode of the Weekend Show. Hope to catch you all next week. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you very much.
That's it for today's program. Thank you so much to our correspondents, Andy and Ina, for your contribution on today's program. Do follow us on social media at Weekend Show NG on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself. Continue to practice physical distancing, washing your hands, taking of your vitamins, and getting enough sleep. All right, take very good care of yourself, and we'll see you next week.
Shadow you will light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow, you won't kick down, lion won't tear down, coming up to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you gave yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never